You have a fantastic idea for a comic book and an amazing idea for a comic book character, but your story's not working yet. Like, you can't get the story to gel. Something's not clicking. You don't know what it is. You need some help. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you. So let me give you 5 tips to help you write a great comic book story. So I'm back. I've been gone for a while. I know. For those who follow me regularly, I know I said in the last video that I'm going to be making videos a lot more consistently. And then I just disappeared for like 2+ months. So one, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. You know, I had a great summer and I was living life and dealing with life. Sometimes you live it, sometimes you deal with it. Life be lifing. You just gotta deal with life as it lifes you. You know, life be lifing. I'm going to be trying really hard to be consistently making videos on a regular, consistent basis. So rock with me, because I rock with you guys. So, all right, so let's just get into it. Let's talk about writing your great comic book story. Number 1, run your idea out as far as you can take it.
How far do you want me to take him?
Till he stops.
That seems like a pretty good ride.
So what does that mean? So if you have an idea and you think you have a good idea, sometimes you may think you have a good idea, but it's not really as good as you think. You haven't fully realized how much of an idea it is or how far it can really go. So you get an idea and you want to take the idea and not just say like, well, I have an idea about a guy who fights crime on the streets of Gotham, right? We'll use Batman for this. So I have this idea about the guy who fights crime in the city. And then you say, okay, but you say, but what else about it? Well, he has a costume. But maybe this happened. Well, why does he fight crime? Well, you know, because his parents were killed. Killed by who? Well, they were killed by there's a robber when he was a kid, and it affected him this way. And then maybe he went off and got training, and maybe this happens. But he's rich because his parents had a lot of money. And then maybe he's raised by his butler, but the butler was in a secret service at one point. So it's like you take the idea and you just keep layering and thinking about it, and you look at it for what it is. You pull it apart, you put it back together, let it marinate. Things will come to your mind. You'll sit with it for a few days, write down notes, keep mental notes, and you just keep letting it churning. And you just take the idea and just run it and bounce it around all over the place, bounce it around to people that you know. I think I have an idea about this. And the more you do that, the more you talk about it, especially like the trusted friends, and writing things down and just letting it sit. That's one of the best ways to help build your story, because as you're building all these ideas for your comic book, you're actually building pillars for your story, and you'll find stuff that works and things that won't work. And so it's a process of just going through, letting the idea come to life. You know, it's like giving birth, because it takes 9 months to give birth to a baby. Creating an idea, it's like a living entity. Or a story. Creating a story is like a living entity. And so you have to give it time for it to be birthed. You have to let it time to gestate and become a fully realized story, not just an idea. There are 2 words that are key to getting your idea from it being a seedling of an idea to the birth of a story. And those 2 words are, what if? What if this happens? And then what if that happens? Then what if that happened? And then what if that happened? And what if this happens? So, have a what if mindset. That's one of the best things you do. Have a what if mindset, and that will really help you develop your idea into birthing it into a story. What if, what if, what if? Keep asking questions. Don't stop asking questions. Don't stop, again, pulling it apart. Don't be afraid to pull it apart. Don't get married to it as a seedling. As it's developing, you say, oh, he's going to do this, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. And then you kind of get stuck and say, well, maybe you shouldn't do that. Don't be afraid to take that off the table and try something else. So it's really about developing that mindset and having to be open to ideas. So I always have this idea that, as an idea creative person, that I always feel like that we have antennas, and our antennas goes up into the ether, and the ideas will come and ping. And if you have good antennas, your idea a ping on your antenna and brings it down to your brain. So get your antennas up and work through your idea, and it will help you find your story. Number 2, don't confuse your plot with a story. So your plot can be a guy who grew up hating corruption because his parents were killed by robbers, decides to dress up as a bat and fight all the crime and corruption in his city. Okay, great plot, but that's not the story. The story is much more involved. The story is layered. So, and I'm going to say this, shout out to Bill Finger, who I'm going to say the true creator, the true innovator of Batman. Okay, so I'm giving flowers right now. So I'm going to give some flowers to Bill Finger. For those who don't know the story of Bill Finger was hired by Bob Kane, who is considered, and I guess he is, the originator of the idea. Bob Kane had the idea of Batman. But everything that we know about Batman, which makes Batman one of the most beloved, eclectic, long-standing characters that ever lasted in history, is because of Bill Finger.
Bill Finger was the dominant creative force of Batman, Robin, the Joker, Catwoman, the Riddler, the Penguin, the Scarecrow, Commissioner Gordon, Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson, and Gotham City.
I know Bob's trying to take credit for everything. Everything you would think is good, that's Bill.
Bill Finger came up with all the ideas of Batman, the idea of Robin, the idea of the Batcave, the idea of the costume. Sadly, he was hired by Bob Kane and really taken advantage of. And he never got the accolades or the recognition or the money that he should have gotten by far. He basically, made Batman everything that we knew Batman to be to this day. And he got very little of it, and Bob Kane walked away with all the money. And late in Bob Kane's life, he said, maybe I should have gave him more credit. Dang away should have gave him more. I got real disgust for Bob Kane after learning the story of Bill Finger. And also it's a great lesson to learn about knowing your worth and fighting for your worth and make sure contracts are right, because you don't want to end up like Bill Finger. As you want to have the genius and the talent that he had, but you don't want to end up broke and struggling for being recognized for all your years of work. So check it out. Flowers given. So one of the best ways to help develop not just a plot but into a story is thinking about your characters and saying, why are they doing this? So that's always been key for me. Why does this character do this? So because when you develop your story and you think about your characters as people and think about the motivations of people, and I've spent a lot of time studying psychology. I'm not a psychologist, but I spent a lot of time studying psychology, actually reading psychology books to help understand the motivations of people and characters and why characters and people do what they do. Because once you can start saying motivations of why people are doing things, I build whole backstories, almost like sometimes Bibles, of things that happened historically in my story and things that happen to the character prior to getting to the point of page one. So when you get to them at page one, even though some of that stuff may never come out, at least I know it in my mind internally. So when I'm writing my story, I was like, well, he wouldn't do that because of this. He wouldn't do this because that happened to him when he was a kid. So it helps you guide the character into a way that helps make your story more fulfilled and more developed. So number 3, write therefore and but and not and then. What? Every point in your story should lead to another point in your story. It's kind of what it comes down to. This happened, therefore this happened. And because that happened, therefore that happened. And then this happened, but it didn't happen the way you think it was because this happened, and therefore this happened. Bruce Wayne is at a dinner with some very higher up people that he needs to impress to help them do a deal with him that will help stop crime in Gotham City. And he sees a crime, and then there's a crime that happens at the bank outside the restaurant window that he sees. No one else sees it, but he sees it. Therefore, him being the kind of moral person he is, therefore he cannot sit there and let it happen. So he gets up, making an excuse, and leaves the dinner. He does not have his costume. Therefore, he puts on a bag and puts holes in the eyes, a cloth bag, put it on his head, and sneaks off to try to stop this crime. But he doesn't have his gadgets with him, so then he gets taken advantage of in the bank, and the bad guys gets away. And then it's okay to say, and then this other element happened, therefore that happened. So you want to keep thinking, therefore. So you want your story to kind of string along, have points in your story to string along your story, and that'll help make the development of the story so much stronger. Because you have to look at every therefore as an unfolding of a story. And remember, a good story well told is one that unfolds. And that's my own personal quote. You can quote me on that. A good story is not just one that goes in one direction and then it's just a quick left turn at the end. Like, aha.
It's Mr. Carswell, the bank president.
So that's not unfolding of a story. That's just a quick left turn. You want your story to constantly unfold as you're telling it. And the way you unfold your story is using therefore as your points of storytelling.
And it would have been mine if it hadn't been to those meddling kids.
Number 4, you want to write for yourself. So I told this story before. Robert Kirkman, when he was writing The Walking Dead, he wrote that story for himself. So at the time, people were not looking for zombie stories. Zombie stories were not a thing. He said, this is what I want to write, and he wrote the story for himself. So you want to do that. And then after he did that, zombies became the biggest thing ever, and everyone's writing a zombie story. To the point now that if you submit something to any kind of comic book company, they say we're not taking zombie stories because everyone was turning in zombie stories left and right. But the zombie stories weren't cool until Robert Kirkman did it. So, but he didn't write it because he thought this will be cool. He wrote it because he thought it would be cool to him, but he did it for himself. So don't just write something because they say, well, multiverse stories are hot right now, so write a multiverse story. Don't write things because the world is telling you what they think is cool. You have to decide for your own taste. You have to be the arbiter of your own good taste. Get other opinions, always get outside opinions and see how people think about it, but always be strong enough to stand on your own ground to say, this is what I want to write, this is what I think is cool, and this is what I want to do. When Stan Lee, classic story, wrote Spider-Man, his editor said, we don't want to do bugs and because insects are icky, and it can't be a teenager because teenagers are not our sidekicks. You can't make that story. He made this story. Spider-Man, to this day, still the #1 character in the Marvel Universe. I have a point to make, and I'm going to totally contradict everything I just said. Sometimes it is okay to write for the masses, as long as you stay true to what you're writing. Example, Shonda Rhimes, the creator of Grey's Anatomy, was a writer looking for work. And she said, she talked to someone at ABC and said, what is ABC looking for? She said, they're looking for a hospital drama because hospital dramas are what's going right now. She said, fine. So she specifically wrote something for ABC, a hospital drama, but she wrote it in the vein of her own storytelling. So I say that to say this. If someone says we want a story about a gang of teenagers who become a superhero team, and you say, well, right now I'm writing a sci-fi. I think what's cool is writing a sci-fi spaceship saga. Okay, that's fine. But if they're saying this is what they're looking for, and you can write a story about a gang of teenagers who become a superhero group, and you think you can do something well with that and be true to the writing, not writing something that's crap just because you think like, well, I better write this. If you can write something that's good, that you can buy into, that you can put your heart into, even though it was not what you started out doing, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. I would say do that, especially if someone says like, hey, we'll pay you good money to do this, and you like it, and you have it in your heart to do, then do that. But if you're writing for yourself, write for yourself. All right, and number 5, and this is going to sound like a cop-out of a tip, but this really does matter because I can't tell you how many times I've had to tell people this. Number 5, start writing. I can't tell you the amount of times that people say to me, I have an idea for a comic book, and I'm about to start writing. I'm about to start looking this stuff up. I'm about to. They will, I'm about you to until it comes out of their ears, and never write a single word down, never type out a single word, and I'm about you to forever. Write the story. You have to start writing. You say, well, I don't have all my ideas yet. I'm still thinking about it. That's fine. Think about it. If you're thinking about it, you should be writing notes. Start writing. Just start writing. Even if you get to a point where you're like, okay, I got 50% of it, but I don't know how it ends. That's okay. Start writing. Start writing. Write. Sit down and write. Stop talking. Stop talking. Stop talking. No. Hush. Sit down and start writing. I don't want to hear anything else. Start writing. Start writing. Did you write it? Can I tell you? I'll take to talk to people. And like, yeah, because this, and I think I want to do this. Okay, did you start writing? Well, I was going to, I don't want to hear that. Don't tell, well, I'm about to, don't bow to. Start writing. You have to just do it. And understand this. Starting to write will feel weird. I got to sit down and start writing. It feels like jumping into a cold swimming pool. It's going to feel weird. It may feel icky. It's not going to be like this. I got this just great rush of inspiration. I want to write. And you will not feel like that a lot of days. Some days you just feel like I got to start writing. I don't know what to do. Where am I starting? I don't know what to say. What am I doing? Just start writing. Write down. Interior, big wide open warehouse, villain who we come to know as the taskmaster is working on a device, and it explodes in his face. Even if the writing is not like poetic. It doesn't even feel poetic. There's there's a lack of prose in your writing, and we'll talk about that in another video. Adding prose to your writing and to your script writing, and it's not there. All you know how to write right now is the taskmaster is working on a machine and explodes in his face. Okay, that's not a great way to write it, but write it. Because if you're writing it, you're moving. And if you're moving, you're building the muscle. If you're building the muscle, it'll get strong. And once it gets strong, you're going to become a great writer. So those are my 5 tips to help telling a great comic book story. But listen, there's literally 100 other things I could tell you guys about how to help write a story and how to write a comic book story. One of the things I suggest is this. I got this book. This is Alan Moore Writing for Comics. It is a really thin book. It was like, it originally started out as a series of articles or something like that, and someone compiled it and turned it into a book. But it's really short, but it's like powerful stuff as far as writing. And me being a writer for as long as I have been, I still got so much out of this little book. So you can check this out on Amazon. I was like I paid more than that. It was like, it says $5.95 just because I don't remember what year it actually came out. But here it is. So instead of me guessing, why don't I read the back of the book? The main essay was originally written in 1985 and from an obscure British fanzine. So this was written in 85 from Alan Moore. And Alan Moore is the creator of The Watchmen and Miracle Man and a bunch of other stuff. So I would say if you're looking to help develop your writing and storytelling, this is something you can get a lot out of. This little rinky-dink little magazine book has a lot of powerful information in it. So, with that being said, thank you for watching. I hope you liked and subscribed, and I will be back a lot sooner this next time than this time. I'm on it. I went to Vid Summit, like I said. I got so inspired to work on to go all in on my YouTube channel. So I'm going all in on my YouTube channel. So I'll be back a lot sooner than I was last time. So